feeling cleaner than I ever would be. It's cooler than Antarctica's weather would be. Damn, I think my swagger is a weapon to me. And dudes don't count you off the record to me. So don't be stepping to me, trying to shake my hand. I'm already the man, ain't trying to make your band. I feel the fact that I'm real, just make them mad. I be smoking helium to inflate my swerve. I'm fact that I'm real, just make them mad. I be smoking helium to inflate my swerve. I'm fly, yes, I'm high, yes. Every lady wanna get to this guy, yes. Go out tonight, I just might, yes. Style cleaner than yours, so don't buy, yes. I'm so debonair, so debonair. 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 You're not really seeing me, dog. Real talk. You feeling whacker than you ever would be. In mind, you think you.
Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Guys, as you know, yesterday we came over, we talked some basketball-wise stuff, and so we're here to get into some interviews. Some of these are a little older, but we wanted to start with all of the people who interviewed with Carlos King, with me and Cindy C. So before I bring Cindy up, let's go ahead and, if you guys don't already know from the cover art, we're talking about Jennifer. Why was the cards for Hudson? But Jennifer Williams from Basketball Wives. She did a interview with Carlos mid-season, and so we want to jump into that before we get into like the newer interviews with Jackie, Brooke, and Brandy. So let's jump into that. Before we do all that, let's take a visit of this channel. If you want to join my tribe, please do my side. Go ahead and subscribe. Turn your notifications, turn them on all so you're notified every time I go live. Like the video, share the video, comment down in the comment section. It's down there. And then if you're here, comment over here in the chat. Let's go ahead and then share as well. Let's play the intro. Let's get into it. Let's go.
I'm fly, yes, I'm high, yes. Every wanna get to this guy, yes. Go out tonight, I just might, yes. Style cleaner than yours, so don't buy, yes. I'm so debonair, so debonair. I'm so debonair, so debonair. I'm so debonair, so debonair. I'm so debonair, so debonair.
Indeed.
Hey, we're back.
What's going on?
I did want to say before you get started, because it might affect your sound. I hear something blowing on your mic. So if you have a fan or something. Okay. There we go. Now
better?
That sounds great.
Okay. All right.
But
yeah, like, I normally asked you before, but
yeah.
You know.
It's okay. I just noticed it as you were introducing the show, so I was like, okay. Let's catch it.
Yeah, I just shifted it a little bit. That's
perfect.
All right, so real quick, let's say what's up to the people that are in the chat. I see Miss Jack of Trades is here. She says, "Hey, SoDeb, looking forward to seeing you soon." Chi-Town says, now you know I can't drink yet. I have to let this less than smart take this over.
Yes, Chi-Town.
Yes, and then also Chi-Town says, make sure, welcome everybody. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe as you enter the room, and smack that notification bell so you won't miss out on any of the tribe's news. What's going on to Pam? She says, I'm listening from the shrubs. We have Tiffany GT. She says, hey, SoDeb, Cindy in the chat. I caught her live on my birthday. Happy birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Tiffany GT.
Happy birthday. All right. I think that was pretty much the whole spiel. So, you know what? Let's rate it. Let's, like we normally do, on a scale from 1 to 10, how did you rate this interview?
Yeah.
Or let's rate the interview Jennifer gave us.
Right. I mean, even with the info, it was, yeah. She's not my favorite. She is beautiful. She is an OG, but she's definitely not my favorite. So I'm going to go with a 2. How about you?
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, Jennifer.
It just wasn't giving to me. You know what I mean? And I don't know if part of that was that little delay between Carlos and her, like
Mhm.
responding to questions. It just was. It seemed a little awkward to me, but she looked great. What do you give it?
I'll say I feel like she did give kind of like what we talk about
Mm-hmm.
earlier when we're talking about the show. So I did appreciate kind of her confirming a lot of things
Mm-hmm.
that we had talked about. I think what really kind of got lost in transition was like we want to hear about the show, not about her past stuff. And I
Yes,
think towards the end it was like, oh, okay, we got to hear about this again. Like I didn't really want to hear
exactly.
about Tim and the guy
Yeah,
who stole the Range Rover, and I didn't want to hear about that stuff.
I agree 1,000%. They really should have stayed on the show. But
Yeah.
again, since she really isn't one
Mhm.
of those force multipliers, she's not the forward person. It wasn't a lot of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She really couldn't. Anyway, yeah.
And no problem, Tiffany GT. Yeah, so I think I would rate it.
And then now knowing what we know about her and Jelani in that situation, I didn't really
Yeah.
appreciate it so much. So
You know what I really wish was that he didn't interview her before the show was over.
I agree.
I think that's where like we're missing and losing out on a lot because
Uh-huh.
we could have gotten more information about her and Jelani.
Yes. Yeah.
What's going on
Agreed.
to me is Simpson down here in the chat. And if you missed the Hey Silver Diamond as well, I don't think I'm gonna give it like I don't want to give it a real low rating.
Right.
Um, I'll give it like a 5.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll give it like a 5.
All right. That's fair.
So, and then there was a lot of, I think a lot of it too was like they're friends.
Yeah.
So it was more of like a friend camaraderie more than an interview.
I agree absolutely. And I think when it kind of veered into more of the interview aspect,
Mhm.
she really didn't really give a lot of great answers. If you really think about it, like she would kind of gloss over it
But
because
she couldn't really say
yeah,
anything. That
I
was the
think,
reason why. So
yeah,
I guess
well,
that's why I'm kind of like lenient on the rating because
uh,
I know she couldn't really say anything. So it was like
right,
it wasn't there was no point.
right. And
But I
he
feel
also
like
asked
maybe
her
he was
some
trying to
things.
interview her before he did I think OG and Tammy
Yeah,
because they're friends. So I feel like
right.
he was trying to get her in before he got them in, which I wish he just would have waited.
Yeah, I agree. I really feel like any interview that he should have done with any of the ladies should have been done at the end.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and jump into it. And
Okay.
guys, also really quick, if you guys haven't seen it yet, you guys can go over to I love promoting my website now. You guys can go over to SoDebNair.com. We do have all the information over here. The interview with her and him is here. So after you guys watch, definitely go over here, click on it, and watch it for yourself. You can rate it, however you feel that it works out for you. But also, don't forget to sign up as a member over here on my channel. It's free, and you'll get notified. If YouTube doesn't notify you, you'll get notified when I go live because I can control when people get notified. So.
Right. And if you guys do wind up watching the interview after our review of it, come back over and put something in the comments.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And while I'm saying that really quick, let me send out my email blast. Give me 1 second, you guys. I'm thinking wrong. All right, so that's done. All right, so let's jump into it.
Okay. You're freezing a little bit, so
It's because I'm resizing my screen and stuff. That's all.
okay.
I should
Got
be
it, got
cool.
it, got it.
Yeah, yeah. I was
Okay.
switching the screen, so I know it does that a little bit when I do that. So let's jump into it.
Got it.
So Carlos King, they start off with all this stuff. We want to skip those things about them, knowing each other from Nene and all that stuff. They get to the first part of this I want to jump to was everyone left but Jennifer. Besides all the force multipliers left besides Jennifer and the OGs of the actual franchise. And
Right.
Carla said, did she feel pressure to live up to the force multipliers that left the show, that she's the last girl standing? And she said that she did, because she didn't know any of the girls. She said it takes time for the audience to get used to the new group. She doesn't come on playing a character. She's going to give what she's actually going through.
And I don't believe her.
I mean, because if we're basing it off of where they went to, the people who watched the show knew those girls because it was the Miami girls. I mean, it was the LA girls.
You mean the LA girls?
Yeah, that's the LA girls. They knew them. They might have not known her if they tuned into LA and not Miami.
Right. But that's, I feel like when she said that they didn't really know, she didn't really know them like that. Most of those women, with the exception of Brandy and Jackie, were kind of like one or maybe two season wonders. And so you don't really get to know those girls, and they weren't like the standout cast members,
Right.
So I agreed with her that way. And yes, it does take time for the audience to get comfortable with seeing that ensemble. And I think that was some of the things that I complained about. Towards the end, it's like, yes, it really did feel like they were getting to know each other, and so you weren't really invested in those relationships. The reconciliation with Malaysia and Brandy happened in part A. So then in part B, we had Brandy and Duffy not really feeling that sister vibe that they had been given before. So it really did feel like a mishmash of people that, aren't brand new, but we get to see more details of their lives in this season, in my opinion.
Yeah. I can agree with you on that. I think that also it's just like trying to learn all of them together at the same time too. Like as a full dynamic with the LA girls and then Jennifer.
Yeah.
Very different. Because to be honest, we knew those other girls. I mean, British and Brooke, maybe not so much because they only had one season.
Right.
I don't even know if I could add Angel Brinks to that.
Yeah.
She was there for a little while.
She was, but she still wasn't as, relevant. I hate to say, I think she's relevant in what she does for a living, but I don't think she was as relevant as a cast member. And then, of course, in this last season, we saw her even less, but we didn't see her that much in her other seasons either. And again, I feel like, Basketball Wives is probably not the show for her. I'm not saying she can't do reality television, but I just feel like she doesn't really give what needs to be gave, in my opinion.
She doesn't fit with this group of women.
Yeah, she just doesn't fit with a group of women.
I think had Drea stayed, we could have might have got a little bit more from her.
Yeah.
But they're like,
yeah.
I think that's why we don't get as much from her. Or maybe we don't invest.
And again, off camera, maybe they are all still really good friends, or for the most part of it, they're good friends. But I just felt like, I don't know. Like I said, when any of those girls weren't on the show, I did not miss them, So, that means as an audience member, they didn't make that big of an impact,
Yes. Hey, Miss Bernice.
Hey, Miss Bernice.
She says British not going to be talking to anyone for maybe 10 to 20. Listen.
We were saying that last night, and the delusion of her thinking that she is going to be talking to people is it blows my mind.
I think that the show started off a little fun for me, like when they were doing like, the dating thing, what was it? What do they call it? The meat market.
The meat market.
Like that was fun to me. But I can't really remember a lot, from part.
Yeah.
And I think the only reason why I remember the meat market is because Jelani had showed up. So,
Right. Right. Right.
yes, love you back, Miss Bernice. Um, so Carlos did say towards the middle he thought that it got good.
Yeah.
He said, oh, he asked her that she missed the presence of the old girls. She felt like the LA girls had great stories, and she was interested in those stories. She felt they knew what they had to do. She's been on the show for a long time, but she didn't want to have to do all the work. Now I was with Jennifer on this.
I agree, but again, Jennifer has never been like a main cast member. She has and she hasn't. You know what I mean? Like her dynamic with the rest of the ladies is to kind of do exactly what Carlos says in a little further in. And
Which I feel
so
like she knows that though.
yeah, she knows her part,
Yeah.
right? And so I feel like, when she said that she felt like the other ladies did give what needed to be gave, I was like, I disagree. I disagree because
I
I
think.
feel like,
So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, I just feel like, the repetitiveness and them dragging out the same storylines for part A and part B
Mhm.
just kind of killed it for me. Like you said, in the first part, at least we had some outings, we had a full cast members,
Yeah.
um, and the non-twin twins who were forgettable. We forgot about them. You know what I mean? And it was like they did the meat market, they did more things of what the show normally would be based on, and then in the second part we didn't really get too much of that,
I'm like
you
to
know.
the very end of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I feel like part A was so hot with Malaysia. And having to hear about the repetitiveness. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
We like, it was like everybody had to say something about Malaysia Brandy, Malaysia Brandy, Malaysia Brandy.
Right.
It was like y'all could have summed this all up into one episode,
Yes.
and we could have moved on. To be honest,
Yes.
and I think that even though I wanted to see Brandy, I think we kind of agreed on this when we were doing the reviews. Like, okay, it's getting to be a lot. Like the Duffy
Yes.
thing, where she's like making fun of it, and are y'all friends? And her going on the confessional saying, I forgot what the wording she used was. I think we kind of like got into that, but it was just a lot of that. And then finally, like Malaysia kind of broke down, but then the twins started going ape shit. So,
Right. And
so
it just, and so that's why I disagree with her. I don't feel like she should have felt any pressure to carry the show. But she does, hey Norris, but she does give continuity. So I'm okay with that. But I don't really feel like the women really gave a lot. It was just like they got one
yeah,
storyline, like, for example, British and her case and ankle monitor. And that's all we saw. That's
yeah,
all we saw, and like you said earlier, in the first part, at least she was kind of, you know, giving something with like dating and stuff with her ex. And I mean, I would have rather seen so much more variation than just hearing for months, and then having a months long break and then coming back just to talk about the ankle monitor again. Like I didn't feel like it was it was successful. That was not a good idea to me.
I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
And I do also wish that they would have navigated the Malaysian and Brandy story a little bit differently.
Yes.
Because if that's what they were going to talk about, like we could have really navigated that to a place where it would have drove up ratings. You know what I
I
mean?
think so. Yep. I think you're
But
right.
they just didn't. I mean, like think about how Evelyn and Jennifer did it. You know what I mean? It was like,
Yep.
but I think the problem with that is that they actually had friends around them who wanted them to be friends again.
Yes.
Brandy and
Right.
Malaysia didn't have that. Besides Jack.
And yeah, and I was going to say we did have that with Jackie, but again, Jennifer is so non confrontational, non-committal. I get that she probably isn't the biggest fan of Malaysia, but
Yeah,
I feel like as an OG, it would have been good for her to step up into that
yeah,
role as well, which she had an opportunity to do that and she really didn't, and that would have made her more relevant to me. But again, I just feel like, I don't know. Anyway.
I wonder if the woman producer, which we'll get into her later on,
Hmm.
if this pin is in your mind though, I wonder, how Jennifer described her on this interview.
Hmm.
Had she been there for that part, would that have changed anything?
I think it would have, but we can get there. I think 100%.
Okay, yeah, I just want to pin that in your mind when we get there.
Yep.
So then Carlos was asking about, well, basically saying, well, this is what I think me and you say this all the time. What the show's missing is the long-lasting friendship with Ev and Jennifer.
Yep.
The fight, and then it got into the fight with Nia, Evelyn, and Jennifer. Evelyn and Jennifer. I think I want to skip over this really quick. Actually, I'm just going to order.
Okay.
So they talked. Then he got into the fight with Nia, Evelyn, and Jennifer. Evelyn and Jennifer, they squashed everything at that house,
Hmm.
and they move forward. They're not the best of friends, but they check in. Do you have anything for that at all?
No, I mean, I'm glad that, Evelyn did call her after that season
Yeah,
ended, to just say, yeah, and she's right. Neither one is getting any younger.
right,
Let's just move on. And I feel like, I mean, that's the most mature thing to do, especially if they are going to continue working with each other, because it just did feel so uncomfortable for so many seasons when they weren't getting along. It was actually
Malaysia,
like, yeah, it was actually painful to watch them, kind of navigate that. And just it was just sad to see that they used to be so close and they aren't any longer. So I'm glad that they did have a moment, to kind of check in.
right,
And again, I wish that Jen would, kind of step up a little bit more too, because Evelyn can't do that by herself.
right.
So I don't know if I really liked that
Let's
phrase,
get into that when
check
we
in.
get to that conversation about Jennifer on the show,
Okay.
because I feel like there's a lot to be said there. But let's get into that when we get to that part.
Okay.
Miss Bernice said, "John O. Jennifer is the Where's Waldo of the Fred Pies. She doesn't do anything, but she always popping up in the scene."
I agree, Miss Bernice. That's a really good description. Yeah.
So then they get into the conversation, and I think this is going to be a conversation point for me and you.
Yep.
Why people turn on Evelyn and Malaysia
Right.
because of the Nia and then the table throwing. Um,
Right.
she talked about security having to get stitches when Malaysia threw that table.
Right.
She said no one called her besides the production after Malaysia had threw the table.
Right.
Um, I think there's something else. We'll get down into that part later too.
Right.
So we do know that, and I think we kind of talked about this yesterday.
Hmm.
And that's my turning point for Malaysia as well.
Right.
Is
I
that
do
the
know.
table throwing?
I do know that. Yep.
If I come back on later on, we'll talk about it. Well, we don't have to go through this again, but I do remember Jennifer saying something about how to throw her over that bridge and everything like that.
Right.
I think about the Virgo mind. Like, we're not very big confrontational people, but
Hmm.
when we're in when it's the end of the story, I don't know what Jennifer's capable of doing. I don't.
Right. Right.
But I could see the rage of Jennifer because she didn't move. When that table was on her, she literally stood there.
Right.
And at that moment, I was like, are we about to get a different Jennifer? I was concerned for everybody on the cast at this point because I'm like, Jennifer didn't even move.
Right.
That's not normal Jennifer for me.
Hmm.
But I do. And then, the thing with Evelyn, with Jennifer too. And they're just talking about Jennifer and Evelyn's relationship, you guys, not
Right.
the full thing. With that thing with Nia and that and all that, but that stemmed from so much,
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
wasn't because Jennifer had to stay at that girl's house. It was
Right.
the Ocho Cinco stuff, the interviews that she was doing, which she did on this interview too, but we'll get into that later too.
Hmm.
I'm like, Jennifer has been a messy for real.
Remember when I told you that, I'm so glad that you watched it, because remember I said she really is a mess. I
Yeah,
mean, she's not innocent in what happens to her.
yeah,
She had a reason, like Malaysia threw the table for a reason. It was
mhm,
inappropriate and not right. But but she did have
absolutely.
a reason to do it. I'm sorry.
I said absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Let's
It's not.
cross over for that seriously.
Yeah, but I mean, again, when you're so frustrated and you're angry and somebody is making you out to look a certain way and you know you didn't do certain things,
Mhm.
which Jennifer does a lot. Like if you go back and really look at a lot of the stuff that she kind of stirs up for herself, she does that a lot. And so I just feel like, you know, was that right? No, but I don't know how I would have reacted. Again, I'm not a wild animal as Jennifer described her, but I
What did
don't
she
know
call
where
her? What did she say? Call her?
she called her a wild animal.
I think she called like ghetto ass LaQuisha too or something.
Yes, that too. But yeah, she
I just want to
used
make sure
she
I added
used
that in
yeah, she said that too. But in reference to the table, she called her a wild animal. She was just like, I'm not prepared for like a wild animal, throwing a table at me,
there. Yeah.
and again, Jen, you
But
have to
those are all
be.
big facts though.
Yeah, but Jen needs to be hold herself accountable for some of her actions. And at that time, she was going around behind Evelyn's back and talking smack because they had a falling out, and I get that. But so there's reasons for people to be upset with her, and so I really didn't appreciate her being like, this came out of nowhere and I didn't understand. And I was so confused and it was happening so fast. And I'm like, Jennifer Williams.
But in the Virgo, I could see that though. I really could.
Really?
Yes. Like
Okay.
to be honest, like when something is really in my mind, like it's so much going on right now. I don't even know what's happening. I might
Mm-hmm.
be like in a little blackout stage at this point right now. So I did like a lot of things. Like I'm not the biggest Jennifer fan at all. Like
Mm-hmm.
because I don't really go up for her like that.
Mm-hmm.
But some things that she do say, like I do get that. Like, and those that was one of the things that she did say. Like she's sitting here. I think Ashani had said that she did say the things. Then Malaysia got mad from the back, and it was just
Mm-hmm.
like what the fuck is happening here? I would have probably checked out at that point too. And
Hmm.
then all of a sudden, there's a table coming my way. Like
Right,
I
right.
probably would have been in the space that she described, and I could believe that she might have been really there.
And you really feel like, I mean, so you're talking about just from a personality standpoint, and you see that things are getting heated, and you have gone behind someone's back and was saying, you know, mean things basically. So you think that still, and you hear things escalating because they were arguing before the table came out of nowhere,
Well,
right? Uh,
Evelyn and her
e-
work though,
that's what I'm saying. Evelyn and
I think
Jennifer
that
were,
where her mind was probably at is like my friend knows what I would or what I would not do.
uh-huh.
I still don't know if what Shawnee said was true. To be honest, I don't know if I really believe what Shawnee added to that was true. I think
Really?
Shawnee was mad about what Jennifer had said and probably just added some things to that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I couldn't see Evelyn really making up with her if she
Mm-hmm.
said that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it just for me, like in my own mind, and this is just me,
Mm-hmm.
I think very differently.
Mm-hmm.
I just couldn't. I would never make up with somebody who did said those things. But
Yeah.
I also remember that she was saying like, Evan was out doing stuff and Shawnee was paying, for stuff or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for me, that's not worse than Jackie calling her daughter a bill.
Right,
Not
right.
none of that was. So for the anger that they had and I know that Malaysia's anger was because she was in the text messages. It just seemed unhinged to me. Um, how mad Malaysia was at Jennifer because of that, because they all kind of do that on the show. So
They do, but then you also have to, realize that she's saying just tell the truth. Say what you said. Tell the truth and not try to make me, hey, Sassy Peach, and not try to make me be the liar. When you said these things, and just say that. I mean, and again, I probably relate more to Malaysia because she also is a Leo, and that pisses me off.
yeah,
Like
you're right.
loyalty. Yeah, the loyalty to me is everything. It's paramount. And the
But did
fact that
Jennifer
you were
have
going,
loyalty to Malaysia?
no, but she had loyalty to Evelyn, and the fact that she was running around behind Evelyn's back, gossiping with Tammy, with Malaysia, with Shawnee, etc. It's like, girl, just own up to your stuff. And I think that, that to me does put me on fire. Like if you're good, if I'm like the most loyal person in the world. So I feel like if I know I have proof of things that you have said, but you're trying to make me out to be the liar, and yet you still won't own up to it, and we're confronting you over and over again. I understand that she's not a big person to, she's not comfortable with confrontation, but at some point you have to own your stuff. If that's what you said, stand in it and be like, that's what I said. That would piss me off, but that's just me. Yeah.
Miss Bernie said Jennifer was playing in Malaysia's face and she popped off on her.
Yep.
Right reaction, but wrong place. I don't think at that moment she was at the table she was, though, was she?
Say what?
She wasn't playing in Malaysia's face at that time. And
she was.
This is when Shawnee said, Shawnee was like, you did say this.
Yes.
Because, prior to this, and even when Tammy read the messages, all it said was like, basically like they all hated Evelyn.
Right.
Let's get back.
But they were talking about.
And then she was saying that Jennifer was trying to use her to do it or whatever. I still don't think that it granted that type of anger, though. I don't know.
But again, like I said, for me and as a Leo, that is a big deal. I hate a liar and I'm super loyal. So I feel like they were kind of, she was playing in her face, because Malaysia even asked her, like, outside of this, she was just like, you really need to tell Evelyn what you have been saying, because if you don't and it gets back to her, it's going to be, bad for you. You know what I mean?
But she did, though. Like, she was like, and even Evelyn had agreed. She was like, we weren't in a good place at the time. I think what she said was like a bigger issue for the situation. But I mean, I don't expect none of them to be like, yeah, tell her. I don't know, Cindy. Listen.
I'm just saying, think about how close they were. Think about the fact that Evelyn was in her wedding.
Yeah, and then your friend crawled across the table, threw a plant in my head, and then popped me in my face on national television. Like, for me, that's worse.
Okay.
So if I'm Jennifer, I'm not sitting here like telling little petty lies or.
But Jennifer,
I'm mad at you. I'm mad. Like my anger for you at this point is a big difference than like Evelyn and Jennifer friendship. So I can see why Jennifer wanted to get back at her by any means. And yes, maybe, that lie was a lie. It was. But I also don't think that she was the only one that was running around with that lie. I think that Tammy was as well. We've already talked about that.
But you have to also look back on some of the other seasons too, so Deb, where that has been a pattern of Jennifer's, and that's why she always gets in trouble. Evelyn had been mad with her for doing a similar thing, lying, and she said, "Did you say this?" Now we're gonna fast forward back to Portugal and the table. She said, "Did you say this about my daughter?" She asked her flat out, and she was just like, well, I was mad, but I didn't phrase it like this, and blah blah blah. Like, she was not owning up to it. And I think for Evelyn, that it made it explosive for her. She was livid by that point. Malaysia's just like, girl, you've been saying this stuff about her for months, and just tell the truth already. So I just feel like, I don't know, I just don't see Jennifer as this like, innocent woman who everybody gets angry at for no reason. Like, there are reasons that they get. Evelyn had years and years of examples of why she was angry with Jennifer, and every time she tried to talk to her about it, Jennifer was like, listen, this is what she didn't want to hear that. She wanted you to be her friend. And like when they had that conversation on the beach, that conversation and that Jennifer, when she owned up to her stuff, that's all she needed to do. And Evelyn calmed down immediately. That's all she needed to do. And that's always what she needs to do, but she doesn't always do that. And so she has to suffer the consequences and repercussions of her actions.
But I think, like, if we go back even farther into like their dismantle of their friendship, it started with Ocho Cinco, and then I guess whatever Jennifer did on the vacation they went on or whatever. I feel like there was hurt from that, as well.
Yeah,
when it comes to both of them.
I agree.
And so I feel like when it came down to like this part, when we're talking about like what Jennifer was saying, I felt like Jennifer, because she was just like, what do you want from me? I apologize. And yes, the way she said it was probably really, well, it was wrong. But I also feel like she wasn't wrong, because I mean, look how the things happened when after after everything. Not saying that Jennifer knew that, but she was like, he wasn't a good man for her.
Right.
And he is an attention seeker. Like the stuff that she was saying about him, Jennifer wasn't wrong, but
Right.
Evelyn didn't like it. So then they did go through that whole thing where they went down, I think it was to Portugal, when she
Mm-hmm.
was telling about Jennifer going on a trip with them and she was having sex with other men while she was
Mm-hmm.
still married. Like there was so much buildup between Evelyn and Jennifer. And
Yeah.
for me, everybody should have stayed out of that. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I agree.
And also, then Tammy was mad at her. And
Yeah.
so then they brought in this whole thing with, Tammy come back on the show. And I don't know if Tammy was really like exposing Jennifer or not because she gets to Carlos King and she's like, I was just acting. So,
Uh-huh.
you
Right.
know, I don't know if what Tammy said, like if she was saying it to be like a friend to Evelyn, to be
Mm-hmm.
like, yo, this is not your real friend, like, or am I just creating content right now? Because she literally said, I went on and acted.
Right. Right. And again, I think they all do for the most part, which is why, I feel like it's always unfair to call one or two people liars, because they all are. They
Yeah.
really all are, because again, we don't really get to see every, their real lives, their real homes, their real backgrounds.
Right.
So it's kind of like, yeah, they're put all together to make a show. And like I said, in other reviews, it's for entertainment, and again, we don't need to see bottles and tables flying. However, that they didn't plummet in the ratings because of those things. I mean, we've seen that same formula in so many other reality shows that have come after that. You know what I mean? But again, the situation, like I said, with Evelyn and Jennifer, Evelyn had years of like build up of, her being like, tell me the truth.
I
Just
mean,
just tell me the truth.
they both had years of that though. That's what I'm saying.
They did, and I agree with that to a certain extent, but I feel like Jennifer was more of the one causing an issue and the demise of their friendship than Evelyn was, in my opinion.
Okay.
I mean, Evelyn wouldn't have
Y'all can
gotten.
drop down. Listen, y'all watching after this, like drop down in the comments. Let us know what you guys think.
I agree.
I don't want to like really drive this into the ground because of course we're going to feel two different ways about it.
Yeah.
Um, I just think that they both had lots of reasons to be upset with each other.
Mm.
I don't think it was
What?
just a one-sided thing.
No, I
Um,
don't think it was one
oh,
sided. Of course, Jennifer had things to be upset about because Evelyn treated her really badly for a lot of the times because she was really angry with her, right?
right,
So she did and said certain things that I wouldn't have necessarily done, because if I'm going to be that mad at you, I'm not going to be working with you. Like, that's it. I would have to pull that Shawnee, EP card and be like, it's either me or this girl, so she didn't have to stay on the show and treat her badly,
right.
to say that you're angry with her. So I feel like you are right in saying that they both have reasons that they were angry with each other, but I think the that Evelyn's reactions to Jennifer were brought on, and the way and the treatment of her was because of Jennifer's behavior and what she said and did,
You know what I?
um,
You know what it kind of makes me feel like what's happened on this season as well with Brandy and Malaysia too, because it was almost like they were trying to like divide them, like because they
yeah,
like even with Tammy, she's like, y'all, they've known this for so long. Like, why would
yeah,
you bring this up now? You know what I
yep,
mean?
yep,
And it just what to me, I just felt because even Evelyn, she was like, these things did happen, whatever. Even and originally, Evelyn even believed that she was on that Jennifer. She believed that Jennifer had said it because Jennifer was like, "Listen, we were mad at each other.
right,
We were all saying things like for real, for real."
right,
Tammy's like, "I never said that." And then she saw some text messages from me. Those text messages didn't mean anything because I feel like
hmm,
it was not a Jennifer by herself situation. I feel like it was
right,
her and they teamed up to do something that it just didn't land right. And I think that because Tammy knew she was leaving, she's like, let me
hmm,
drop the bomb and then I'm out.
right, right. But I feel like, I feel like, yes, they probably all were going back and forth and talking about, Evelyn, behind her back. But from what I remember, and again, I have a horrible memory, but I'm pretty sure that I'm right, that it was Jennifer reaching out to all of them to talk about Evelyn, and then they would respond to her. So she was the one reaching out first. So yes, they
The
may
only
have.
person that she reached out to that wasn't really part of it was Malaysia.
Okay.
From
Okay.
what I from what was shown on the show.
Okay.
It was never shown because Tammy was like, "Yeah, we did talk about a lot." So to me, they were in cahoots. But then because they were friends again, she was like, "I'm not." She basically was like, "I don't want to sit. I don't want Evelyn to sit around being friends with her when she said all this stuff about her."
All of these things about her.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
And I'm like, well, if she just sit here and said like we weren't friends, we said a lot of bad things about each other, whatever. I think then when they got to Portugal, that's when Shawnee added on about Shawnee's.
Right. Right.
That's how the events went. So
Hmm.
then it's like, well, I mean, she's mad about the Shaq thing.
Right.
Tammy showed her these messages. Like for me, it just seemed like there was a lot of energy on there. And we'll probably get to this too because even Carlos mentions this in this interview. So we can table this and then get there when Carlos mentions it.
Okay.
Is that cool?
Yep.
Okay. So Jennifer talks about the new production team. She says she loves it. She said with Shed Media, they didn't know him.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
this
She's like,
was
I
very
never saw.
interesting to me.
It was really interesting to me too, because I'm just like, man, that they had been doing Miami and LA for many years, and she said she only really saw any of the executives like at the reunion, but she didn't know any of them personally, and that is so bizarre to me because part of being a producer is to be the kind of middle piece for your cast,
Right.
and I just I didn't like that. I just felt like that was messy and unprofessional. And I feel like on some of the other television shows where the cast of women are not Black women, does that happen? I can't see that being the same,
That's that's a very interesting question.
yeah, because I'm just kind of like, how did this go on for so long? But then again, maybe part of it was because Shawnee was also a cast member, and so that maybe they trusted her to be the person. But I didn't like that, and I didn't like that after the table did get thrown and the guard got injured. That no one on the actual production side, which could have shut down their show,
Right.
would check in.
Right.
Right? How did you feel about that?
I felt like how that's I think maybe that's why I went a little bit harder today with the whole backstory.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me it's like it just seems like, and I guess because they talked about it too, it does seem like there is some favoritism there on the show.
Mm-hmm.
But then you're also thinking about, well, then who was it for? Because Tammy said it wasn't for her. Uh,
Right.
and maybe was it for, and then if it wasn't for Evelyn, then you have
It's
Malaysia there. Was she, does she have any kind of thing? Because I can see that. I can only see like Jackie, maybe from LA.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So for them, was Shawnee just pulling the strings?
Yeah, I feel like, Evelyn is definitely and clearly a favorite. It's
Yeah.
clearly a favorite by Shawnee, clearly a favorite by production because she brings the catchphrases. She brings the fire, so to
Yeah.
speak. She is one of those factors because when you think about Basketball Wives, overall, whether it was Miami, LA, or the combination, when they combined the two, you do think of Evelyn.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but you do. So I feel like, again, yes, I feel like there is some favoritism, but still, you know, that's like you going to school and you are the teacher, which in real life you are. So, and then the kids go to school and then you don't show up until the end of the
Yeah.
year, right?
Yeah.
Until the
Yeah.
end of the year and be like, hey, how are you? And
Yeah.
you're like, the kids are going
Or
to be
maybe like I
looking
have
at,
a favorite kid or something. And
right,
they're running amok,
right,
and
right.
I'm like, I
Looking the
don't know.
other way.
I don't know
Yeah,
nothing about.
exactly. Exactly. And that's what it felt like to me. I really was kind of shocked and saddened by that. And also the fact that
But
Jennifer pointed out.
Tammy said in her interview too.
Oh, did she? Okay. I
Mhm.
didn't see that one. I need to go back and I only
That's why I
saw
said
the
I know what the for
snippets.
Tammy because even on Tammy's interview that she did with Carlos,
Mm.
she said that I think with the Keisha situation, I
Oh,
know she never
right.
with the Mika Claxton situation.
Mm-hmm.
She was like they never even talked to her.
At all, and that's another thing. It's kind of like, you don't know if your job is going to be hanging in the balance. Like, it just the non-communication was weird to me. And I thought it was also strange that Jennifer said that from any of the seasons in history of basketball wise, there was no woman producer ever.
Yeah,
They
that
were
was
all
weird.
men. So, and I'm just kind of like, so that's why they didn't really have a, any kind of close relationship with the cast members,
They would just
because
bring
they
on
really
random
didn't
girls
understand.
because men are bringing women on.
Yes, and they don't, we speak different languages, now we can understand and compromise and come to understandings, as men and women, but again, when you have a all, you know,
Women's
men,
cast is different. Like
yeah, they
we
just,
don't have relationships like you guys have. And like
yes,
it's very different. You know what
it's
I'm saying?
very
Like
different.
we'll cuss each other out, fight, and then be friends tomorrow.
Yeah,
But women are not always in that space all the time. I mean, I grew
right.
up around all women. All my best friends from home are girls.
Yeah.
So like, or they're women now, but they were girls. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
I've seen friends come and go all the time.
Yep. Yeah.
So I mean, for me, and I think that was another question that they had even asked during this. I didn't write this down, but someone asked, like, do you think that gay men or women should, be the producers of these shows?
That's yeah. Carlos said he was asked that by several cast members, and he said the latest was that
Giselle.
Giselle lady. Yeah, but
Yeah.
again, I definitely do think that it does make a difference, and and again, if we even look at Roja, with his departure, the show does feel different.
Very
It
different.
feels very different,
Yeah.
and I think it's because you have to have the understanding of your cast. You have to um kind of be able to get in their head to create these stories, and I don't think that
Right.
some straight guy is doing that. They're just trying to make the money. Yeah, they're
They're like, get
trying to,
over like we do, and that's it. You know what I
yes,
mean?
exactly. Yeah.
So, Carlos asked her next, does she miss Tammy? She said, yeah. She says she misses a lot of the old girls that were on the show. It's just those bonds, those relationships.
Hmm.
She says that her and Tammy are not in the best place, but she's happy for her and her new show. Anything with that?
No, and I'm glad that she said that. And she also said, in answering that question, that she feels like each of the ladies brought something to the
Yeah.
show, something different to the show. And I think that's where we're missing, because they were trying to get to know each other, so it was harder to kind of pick up on certain things. For me, this past season, to me, Duffy seemed to me to give the most in growth wise. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Just because we got to see her in the the six sorry the season with Tammy behave one way, and
Right.
this season, she came back years later, and it was kind of a different vibes. You could see the growth, especially after when she was talking about going to therapy, and then after seeing a therapist. And I really, to me, that was much more interesting than beating the dead horse of, drawn out storylines of the same thing: divorce, 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 ankle monitor,
Yeah.
all of that stuff. So I just felt like, yeah, I agreed with her that yes, even if they didn't last, each one of those ladies did bring something to the show,
They
and
definitely did, especially with
yeah,
the Miami cast.
yes, and it's missed.
Yeah.
Hmm.
They get to Shawnee. She says that she wasn't invited to Shawnee's wedding, which we already knew that.
Right.
She says even if she was, it was Memorial Day weekend. She had plans. So,
I thought
she
that
said
was shady, and I thought that was
it was very shady.
ungrateful.
It was very shady.
Yeah, I thought that was ungrateful because Shawnee did not have to keep this woman on the show. I don't care continuity or not. She's still technically your boss.
Yeah.
And if your girl got told thank you for your services, that would have been a thank you for your services moment for me, for with Jennifer. Like,
Well,
we don't talk.
she's in negotiations right now. So
I know, but it's almost like, she's saying basically, she just sounds ungrateful. Like, girl, you've been getting a check for over a decade because she allowed you to be on her show that she created. But yet and still, And I get you don't have to talk like that, but she didn't need to go the extra mile. Like, plus it was Memorial Day, so I'm booked. I'm busy. Like, girl, really? Just say no, I wasn't. Nope, and just leave it there.
True.
And I think that's what happens with Jen a lot. She says these little shady things, and then when people pop off or call her out on it, then she's just like, what did I say?
Yeah.
Girl.
I mean, she threw some shade at her more than once in this.
Yes, she did.
So.
And it's clear to me, as now, behind the camera, behind the scenes, now that we've heard for so many interviews, that she has a problem with her.
Yeah.
Even in even the other women that we're gonna, when we get to their interviews, all of them had nothing but respectful, nice things to say about Shawnee, except for her.
Maybe she's the only one who really knew her though too. So I don't know.
I don't think so, but okay.
Maybe Jackie, but I'm just saying. I mean, she's been on the show like from day one, and there's a lot more that has happened between her and Shawnee. I mean, thank you for your services. She came back the next season,
right?
And it was like, I think she's back for 2 seasons. Like they had made amends. She came back this season to bring her back. Like I think there's just more there. I don't think she even spoke to Jennifer at all.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Yeah.
I think I think that's Shaq. And then she was saying stuff about her kids at for the last season before 2 seasons before this. I think there's some real animosity there between her and Jennifer.
I agree, because once again, like, you don't talk about kids. Jennifer doesn't have any children. So once again, let's keep in mind, you're talking about your boss's kids of a very well-known, athlete. It's kind of like, are you okay? I don't know. I didn't appreciate it. I feel like Carlos, in my opinion, kind of got her together a little bit, because he said, well, she is the creator of the show.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like, yes, girl, like nobody wants to, I'm sure he wouldn't want his cast members to speak about him in that way either. So, yeah.
But and this is the next part too, so we can go ahead and get into that. But he also did talk about, her being on the show and, what was that like? I think that was Shawnee's biggest problem, to be honest.
Really?
To hear Jennifer talk about it, she was like, yeah, because I mean, she's talking to production. Even Tammy was like, she would show her things on the cameras before she got to, certain places. So I think even, Tammy is not fond of her.
No, she's not.
And when she was on Carlos, she was not very nice talking about her either.
Right. So, and I feel like, because I where the things that I heard that Tammy said sounds to me like it comes from a place of hurt.
Yeah.
Like she hurt her feelings, and I feel like she really
valued the show. She was like, I've been trying to fight to be these girls since I've been here. Yeah. And like I can't get into the friendship. Like she just could not. Right. So I think I guess that's why I'm not really that mad at Jennifer, to be honest, because I feel like she's just speaking, and it coming from Miami, like those girls feel a different type of way about her. Even Royce hated her. Like the girls from Miami did not like Shawnee. Even the Govan girl, they kicked her to another damn season, which I mean, thankful she went to another franchise, but they don't have good memories of her.
But also, Shawnee wasn't even on in Miami that much. She was on a little bit, but she became like a full cast member when they came to LA.
No, but I'm saying, like prior to that, like the girls that came from Miami, none of them besides Evelyn really have anything great to say about her.
Yeah, but I don't really. It doesn't really even matter to me. I just feel like Jennifer is still on the show, so she's more relevant than they are. And you would think that, once again, if you have a job for over a decade, that you don't have to have, that you should be a little bit more respectful. I'm not saying she has to bow down and kiss Shawnee's shoes, but again, I feel like in an interview setting, I don't care if Carlos is her real friend or not. Just be a little bit more respectful, because in my opinion, it made her look bad.
I think because I did a live like earlier in the year about them wanting her to step down from the show and her backing up. they have a little bit more freedom to talk about her, and I
Hmm.
feel like they're just letting out their real feelings towards her.
Okay.
So I just think that's what it really is. Carlos asked about her being a part of the cast, and
Hmm.
the stuff that Jennifer said. I mean, it's like your boss sitting next to you at a cubicle, at
Yeah.
a call center, and have like trying to just do your damn job. Like I
Right.
can see that. I don't know.
Well, I mean, again, she did say it was intimidating. I can see that. However, I just feel like, I don't know, maybe because I'm a different generation, the entertainers, I don't really consider Jennifer an entertainer, but let's just give her that title for now for this. The entertainers that I grew up with, it doesn't matter whether they hated someone, they would never stoop to be in public being disrespectful, and that's all I'm saying. Like, I mean, there have been some long-standing feuds with like huge stars that we don't know anything about because they just keep it moving. It's kind of like Mariah Carey. The only thing she said about J-Lo is, I don't know her.
But you're talking about like A-list versus like reality.
I know, but but again,
Like,
she's been in reality
I mean,
TV.
because if you think about like the love and hip hop people, they go off Ramona Scott all the time. Cardi B loves, well, they go off Ramona Scott all the time. That's all I'm saying.
And Jocelyn too. But again, that's an even lower caliber version of a basketball wife to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't like it. I didn't think it made her look good. And I'm not gonna, that's it. That's my opinion.
I ain't mad at you, Gene. Uh, all right,
I'm
so we
mad
get
at you,
into
Jen.
Laura Govan.
Yeah.
This was a very interesting conversation. I feel like maybe I had missed this on the first time I watched this.
Hmm.
But she was saying like Carlos asked why have we not seen her? They went over, her being on his show the first 15, last 15.
For the first 15, which I didn't even hear of. Did you know about that
Oh
show?
yeah, I watched that. It was really good.
When was that on?
I think it was on TV1. It was her. It was Jennifer, the Govan girl, Carlos King, Claudia Jordan, New York,
Huh.
Tiffany Pollard,
Hmm.
and I think Benzino was on there.
Really? What was it about? Like, what was it about? Like, why would Jennifer be in there?
It was like after they leave reality television, like what are they doing next?
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, and so he had created the cast for that. I believe that they had like some type of like job they were trying to do. It was so long ago, I don't remember the full storyline.
Got
But they
it.
were like doing different jobs and figuring out what life looks like after reality television.
Oh, that sounds like it would have been interesting, and I typically would have watched something like that. So maybe I wasn't on my TV1 at that point.
Yeah, I think
um,
TV1 was like new at that time too.
yeah, but then again, I also think that Laura, she did get something for the show, but again, I think for her personally as well as her sister, I don't think that reality TV is the place for them. It makes them both really kind of toxic, and that's just my opinion. Because outside of these shows, well, Gloria, we hear more about, but outside of these shows, the shenanigans that they do on the show,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not part of their real life like that. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
If I'm not mistaken though, on that show she wasn't like she was pretty cool and fun.
uh okay.
I think like because I think the shows after that she was on like the marriage boot camp, right?
Yeah.
And it was like basically basketball wise for me watching her on that. But on that show that Carlos King had,
Hmm.
it was really fun. Like, it was a really fun show, but it was like not a lot of drama. I mean, Tiffany is one of the great things.
Right.
But it was fun. It was almost like watching College Hill, to be honest.
Okay, got it, got
It
it.
was like that
Okay.
kind of vibe without
Hmm.
Jocelyn Hernandez over there.
Right.
It was that type of vibe. Like the drama wasn't gut wrenching or like, oh my god, I can't watch this. I don't know why they never picked it back up. Maybe the ratings weren't really that great,
Hmm.
but it was a pretty cool show though.
Interesting. Well, I don't know. I don't agree that we need to see Laura back again,
Mhm.
but I mean, what do you think about that? What do you think about that conversation?
I wouldn't mind seeing her with this group of women. Um, one, what I also this is where my mind went. To be honest,
Hmm.
um, when Carlos talks about the force multipliers, they all come from Miami,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And then you have your Malaysian, you have your Jackie from
Hmm. LA.
LA. But like we don't have like the Brandys and the Britishes and the Angel Brinks,
Yeah.
even the Brooks from that season. So it's almost like even though they brought those girls over to LA, it's not an equal playing field, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree.
And like for me, like the more he talked about this, the more I was like, but maybe we need to see more of the other girls though from Miami coming over here, so that
Mm.
it kind of like levels it out, to be honest. Because
Yeah, a little
Evelyn
bit.
and Shawnee, who was it, Evelyn, Shawnee, and Tammy? That was, I mean, we didn't even need the rest of the cast, to be honest.
Yeah, it's
But
true.
now that they're gone and you just have Jennifer, yeah, Jennifer is not as a big personality as them. And
Hmm.
I love the fact that she was able to even say, like, I'm not that person.
Yeah,
But also like give us something else from Miami though.
I agree. Yeah, I feel like it was again, I think what Carlos said was correct in that, it is when you have real friendships happening,
Yeah.
it is so much easier to create um some magic in a show, and that
Right.
is what is missing. I mean, I know that you said that you like the three Bs, but again, it was just lackluster. It wasn't giving to me. Like, it just didn't feel as authentic as it had been. And the one friendship that was trying to get back on track, which was Malaysia and Brandy, Malaysia winds up leaving, so we don't even really get to see that. That was the most interesting, even though they should have stopped talking about it after a while. That was the most interesting thing in part H, for sure. you know
And I did, to me personally, I feel like if British had not been there, it would have been a different dynamic too though.
yeah, I agree.
I think that British, she caused a lot. I mean, because even with the stuff with Malaysia and Angel, like anything that happened around British, like she caused so much. But girl, you have way more bigger problems
Yes.
going on. So you're taking all your anger out on everybody else on the show, and it's making it unentertaining for people who are watching the show.
And I feel like though, so dead, that she was trying to earn her paycheck, and she went about it in a bad way, because it just first of all, she was lying the whole time, but then you're creating drama with other people. It's kind of like, and then calling yourself like the little Jackie, like all of that stuff just now kind of
Well,
falls.
she called herself that on her first season too.
Oh, did she? I didn't know that. See,
her
like I
and
said,
her
to
and Sunday,
me.
her and Sunday said
Oh,
that.
her and Sunday. Well,
Yeah,
Sunday I could see, but
I definitely could see Sunday.
yeah, but I mean, I just
Please don't
feel
bring her
like,
back though. Don't bring her back.
no, please don't bring her back. We don't need Sunday anymore. But I feel she was so annoying. But I feel like, she was trying to manufacture stuff that we used to see organically before, and it's kind of like, uh, I don't know. I think it would, if we didn't have British, it would be
It would have been a different season.
it would have been a different season, and clearly there would have been a little less drama. However, I wasn't happy with the storylines with the other people without her, to be honest. I mean, I didn't really have any interest in them, but
I'll
yeah.
say this. I think that the reason why I did love really the two Bs, not the three Bs,
Hmm.
was because I love that Brandy and Brooke had like this, let's hang out, let's have fun, let's drink, let's go to, do stuff together.
Uh-huh.
British just like ankle monitor, ankle monitor, ankle monitor, ankle, like that's not
Right.
wise for us. You know what I'm saying? And I
Hmm.
felt like she brought that friendship down for me. I wanted to see that friendship grow on the show.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's the only reason why I really liked it. And then I feel like that Brandy and Brooke were fun together to watch. Um, for me personally, because one, I love Brooke when she was on the first time she was on.
Hmm.
I always loved Brandy. So the two girls that were gone coming back for me was very interesting. I want to see the dynamics of that because they were not on the same season. And so I enjoyed seeing them together. British was like, did you cook today? Like, girl,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
like
Right.
it was like giving broke, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. I
Let's
agree.
move on down. So we talked about Gloria Govan. Oh, so Jennifer was saying that there has been several talks, but they disappear. She thinks it's because of her situation with Shawnee, and they have an issue with each other. She says she doesn't know if they have ever made up or whatever. She also says that, the Shaq situation.
Right.
And I was going to ask this, what we already talked about wanting Shaq back. I mean, wanting Shaq back, wanting Gloria. So then we get into the conversation about the twins.
Yep.
So she lets Carlos know. Carlos asked about the twins, the non-twin twins, and she lists off what happened. She says that they hit Brandy in the head with that bottle. The house was full of glass. The realtor was on the way to do filming. The shank that we made, which we talked about that.
Yeah,
right?
We talked about that. Yep.
They were acting like we didn't see that. I'm like, no,
We saw that.
I slowed it down. We can see it.
Yes, and then we zoomed in because we remember it was I forget.
Yes, I zoomed in and I made sure we could see what the hell was happening. Even when they threw the bottle at Brandy, I made sure we could see.
Yeah.
Yeah. She said the network reviewed the footage and kicked their asses off the show. I added asses off the show. Jen was going to invite them to an event, but the network said, "Hell no, don't bring her back. Don't bring them back.
Don't bring them back."
And I think we're all in agreement on that. Don't bring them back.
We absolutely are in agreement because, first of all, ladies, they weren't even a real, attribute to the show, in my opinion. And then for them to go all the way off like that in Vegas, it's like, we don't even know who you are. What are you doing? So yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they needed to be off.
Yeah, there was no purpose of them at all. I don't next season I will never even remember they were there.
At all. I barely remember
I literally
they're there now.
I think even part B, I forgot that they were there.
Me too. When they were, again, like I said, most of those women, when they were off the show, I didn't even miss them. I forget about them. I didn't even
Angel Bright's the same thing, though.
Same thing. Yep, same thing.
So then we get into Jennifer's love life. Carlos mentioned that he's seen. You know what? Let me just do this. Let me do it. Had to watch Jelani one more time.
You know that I was laughing the whole time.
I know you was.
I love it. I love it.
Yes. Sassy Peach, you are so right. She should have kept that man.
Yes.
Because he is so fine. Point.
Yes.
The right point.
Yes. And a nice guy, which
yes.
For a change.
I'm glad she admitted that.
Right. I'm glad she admitted it too. But we saw that. I'm really good at reading people, and I already got that vibe from him anyways, which is why I don't understand why he's not around. Other than the fact that she just is a really poor judge of character in men.
Mm-hmm.
She really is.
Did you, when you were listening to this story, did you hear any type of shade that you thought you might have heard?
No, at all. Did you?
I did.
Really?
Yes. So
because she said something about him being a nice guy, and
Carlos meets all of Jennifer's boyfriends, but he had never met Johnny. That was flag number one for me.
Uh-huh.
Number two was Did you hear her mention his parents?
Yeah, his family. She said he comes from a good family.
Yes, and she's like, I really love this film, but I feel like there was some undertone there for me, and I think
Really?
it was the wanting her to have those kids.
Maybe. or asking
You know,
her what.
I be reading into stuff that's happening, and I'm
Right.
like, it was the parents wanting them kids for her.
Either that, and not only just the kids, but what are your intentions with my son?
Mm, that too.
Yeah,
That too.
I felt like
But
she
yes.
felt a lot of pressure. Hmm.
I'm so glad I had saved that because I was like, will I really use this again? But I can't.
Yes, of course. This was a perfect time to use it, especially on her interview. But yeah, I just feel like, I don't know, I feel when she said that they have very different, paths that they want to go through, maybe she is referencing those kids, I don't know.
Well, then also, that he was saying that, or no, she said that when she meets guys, like basically, like she trying to figure out what kind of business deal they can do together.
Yeah, that's true.
And I'm like, maybe he just, I mean, he doesn't seem like he wants to be on television like that.
Hmm.
So that could have been a thing too.
But he was still on the show willingly. He seemed
Yeah.
comfortable and relaxed. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I just feel like,
Okay, Sassy Peach.
yes, Sassy Peach, I agree. Just every now and then, just throw it in there every now and then. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's too boring for her. And again, maybe he doesn't want to be in that business arena with her. But I still don't understand why. I just need her to explain what really happened, because I
Me
didn't.
too. That's why I'm saying I
Yeah,
wanted him to interview her after the show so we can get
yeah,
like, all the details.
I
I'm gonna
agree.
start. I'm gonna start tagging him. Like, can you interview her again? Because I
Yeah,
want details as to what happened and why she was
yes.
under thug.
And I feel like we deserved it, after that long suffering season,
Right.
to know what happened, because he was like really one of the rare bright spots in the whole season.
Right.
We got to see her
He
actually
wasn't
go
cheating
out.
on her. He wasn't treating her
Yes.
bad. He was cooking. Every other person was cooking for their man. He was cooking for her.
Yep.
Like, I mean, he was treating her like we would want to see women be treated.
Absolutely. So that's what I'm saying. So I don't understand, and I don't believe Jennifer. So that's what I'm saying. Knowing that she seemed more shady in the reunion about Jelani than she did in that interview.
Mhm.
But again, I want to know what happened. What are the differences?
Right. Because we're invested now.
You know, we
We-
are. We are. We saw the beginning of the meeting. We saw them starting to go out on their first little dates and all
Mhm.
of that stuff. We are, as viewers, invested, and then he just disappears. Like he was even in the finale. So it's kind of like he went to Mexico and I don't know. I just feel like it's a missed opportunity, because that really would give Jennifer a little bit more depth and more of a storyline.
Yes.
You
And just
know?
think about next season. If
Yes.
she comes back, like Evelyn has a man, she has a man, Jackie has a man, Brandy has a man. Like, there's 4 relationships that we can see, even though she's with somebody else now.
Yes.
But I don't want to see the thug that she with.
I don't either, but I really don't want to see him until we can find out what happened to Jelani.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, we need to transition into what happened.
Yes.
But I
I
would rather see, because to be honest, I feel like the guy that Evelyn is with, him and Jelani have similar personalities.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. I mean, I feel like, Evelyn's guy is probably a little bit more boring. But
I mean, but
again,
Jelani just smiled and cooked and did stuff. I mean,
yeah.
he just looked good. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And I was okay with that. You know what I'm saying?
I was okay with that too. I sure was. I was okay with that. Okay. But yeah, I just feel like, I don't know. I don't feel like Jen is being super forthcoming about really showing her life, and explaining like her real relationships. And because when the most she goes into depths with people that she's dated, is because she has some horrible outcome. So I think
Real
I
quick.
okay.
Shout out to my best friend who's watching.
Aw.
Somebody he is fine. Who is that man?
I mean, that's one reason to binge watch that horrible season.
It
you know
is.
hmm
Especially in part B.
Right.
It was
I
like a
agree.
lot more going on, you know.
I agree.
I done lost all train of thought.
But I agree with what you have on the screen, Sassy Peach. We don't need to see the motorcycle dude, and he's younger than her. I don't want to see him. His backstory already sounds like, suspect to me. So
You sound like you want to scam us.
yeah, he's like sounds like a scammer. I was trying to be nice, but yeah, and it seems like that's her. Unfortunately, that's her type.
Yeah, clearly.
Yep.
I mean, she has a documentary about a scam artist. I mean, the other
Yep.
one was stalking her, a scam artist. The other one was stalking her too. The husband was.
Yeah.
Remember, he moved across the street from her.
Yes. Weirdo. Yep. Yeah. I just felt like she could have just skipped over that part. I just felt like she wasn't forthcoming. She didn't really give anything about Jelani and what really happened,
Yeah.
so Carlos was trying to pull it out, but I just feel like it's just annoying that we don't know what happened,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we get to Tim Norman.
First of all, Carlos should have just stuck
This was
to
like the longest
Basketball
part of
Wives.
the interview.
Yes. I mean, of course, Jennifer did talk about the stalking on Basketball Wives, but I really don't think that we needed to hear about that situation. However, he did, kind of make it towards the end like a PSA to women, like pay attention to these signs.
Could just said, I met him. He was nice to her. He was chivalry, but then he turned into this public service announcement. Like, we could have really skipped this.
Absolutely, I agree. Yep.
Like, I understood the message. I think the most important part that she did give was the story where they went to the pink, whatever it was.
Pink taco.
Yeah, the pink taco where the guy was there and then he was looking at her and that stuff. Like, that was something that we've never heard before. So that we could have listened to that.
Yes, absolutely. And again, that I don't know. I just felt like, we all know that Jen is kind of bougie. I felt like she kept name dropping Pink Taco. Since you're not from LA, it's kind of a really upscale Mexican restaurant. It's delicious and very expensive. So the fact that she kept saying Pink Taco, and then Carlos was talking about Mr. Chow, which is another celebrity hotspot, and I'm just kind of like, I don't want to hear about the name dropping. Just tell a story, girl.
Right.
But so yeah, that was a really weird thing, and again, especially for Tim to go off like that, because they are on television, so obviously they would look familiar, and people are going to watch them.
Right.
It was strange. I was just kind of like, he sounds so weird, but
it sounds psychotic.
Absolutely.
But her like getting into that part, I did like that makes sense for us to hear about this.
Because
I think she was saying something when I wrote it down. Her talking about him walking her down the street.
Yep.
Where the nephew and the father was unalive.
Yeah, really strange.
That man was a psychopath for real.
Yes, he was, and she got away, thankfully.
I wanted Carlos to actually say that at the end of this, like, thank God you got away.
Yeah, he did say that though.
Not in the way that I want him to say that, because I mean, think about like it almost. I guess when I was listening to it, it made me feel like he was walking her down the pathway of, that's for you.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
That's how I took it too. Like, this could happen to you as well if you're not careful. That's how I took it.
Yeah.
Knowing what we know now. So I'm like, oh.
Like you keep looking at these men over here at the pink taco. Yes. You're gonna be over here too. That's how.
Right. I took it that way too. It did feel like a threat, didn't it?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I read that red flag very well.
Me too. I was just kind of like, oh no, that's you got to go. You got to go, sir. I got to get away from you, and you have to go. Yeah.
I did laugh at her saying. I did laugh at her saying that he pulled the wool over Oprah's eyes too.
Right. That was funny. She was like, it wasn't just me. It was Oprah too. That was funny. That was
I could see that was vindication for her finding out what she had done. and then adding that part. It was funny to me at the end of that.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, yeah, I mean, she has a point. Like, y'all think that she set up here and lies to y'all, but Oprah put him on a whole damn show. And
Yes.
that's
Yes.
what he did. So,
Well, yeah. I mean, she put his mom on the show, and he
well,
happened to be. Yeah.
anyway,
But anyway, yes, I get what you're
but
saying.
I've seen the story. Well, that's another story for another day.
Right. Right.
'Cause
But again, we
she not all
couldn't.
the way together either.
Right.
Uh, um, I was interested in the story about, after her mom died. It also kind of brought
Yes.
clarity to the season that she came on when Evelyn came
Yes.
back and Shawnee and them kept getting into with her
Mm-hmm.
about what she was all going through. You know what I mean?
Yes, which I wish we would have seen on the show because I would have had more sympathy for her, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I understand how she, because again, I have lost both of my parents, and I felt similar to her after losing my mom. But it was really interesting because she said she couldn't see it when she was in the moment. It wasn't until like time has to pass. It's almost like your brain protects yourself by um
Trying to be around
by
someone,
trying to be
or
around. Yes.
trying to fulfill that void of love
Yes.
that's missing.
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
it's like your mom's love. Like, that's a totally different type of love that you can get from anybody. So I
Right.
can see that, and I feel like this is just me thinking.
Mm-hmm.
For that season, when they were like really going against her, when her mom
Mm-hmm.
died, had they really rallied around her, like that could have changed the dynamics of that show. To be honest,
Absolutely, I
um,
agree.
I feel like knowing all of this, it made me feel worse for her. That
Yeah,
season.
I agree
Because I'm
because
like,
she was really going
Evelyn,
through it.
when Evelyn slammed that door, I was like, that's the last door she's slamming to talk to your ass. Even Shawnee had stopped, went back and hugged her and cried with her,
Yeah.
whatever. And then they
Mhm.
tried to make peace, and then Malaysia made more at the end of the show, which, we can talk about that again. But
Okay.
it just was like, knowing all of this, I just really wish that she probably would have opened up more about this.
I agree.
At the
I
time,
mean,
like you just said,
think
but
about it.
also
Think
it just
about it.
would have
So,
made
Deb,
so much more sense about why Jennifer's behavior was what it was that season.
I agree.
Because it's human.
Absolutely. And think about it. So, Deb, we heard more about the death of her dog than we heard about her mom and
True,
what she was really going through. But again,
true.
I will say I understand where she was coming from because as she was in it, she couldn't see it then. She couldn't see
Yeah,
it.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Losing your parent, especially, your mother, is like losing the most unconditional love for most kids. I'm not saying all kids have the
Well, no,
greatest relation.
but she also says that too, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like that was like her best friend, and you're trying to learn how to function in life without your person, right? Like
yeah.
my mom was my person, and it was really, really difficult. It really was. I mean, when my mom first passed away, I remember that first year being, you know uh, going back to my ex just because I wanted to be around someone who knew my mom, who knew me, who knew my mom, who knew our relationship, and it was comforting. And that's what I think that she was looking for, and why she even got together with
Yeah.
Tim.
Yeah.
hmm And I understand her completely. Like you do a lot of wild stuff because your brain is really like, I don't know how to live now. Like you're
I
so
can
used to
like,
having your
and I could
parent.
actually like, I've never, like I always say, like I've never lost my parents before,
hmm
but I could see trying to fulfill that void. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Of that
absolutely.
love that I will never receive again from
Never.
anybody, from someone. And I
Yep.
can see how that could be problematic, though,
Yep.
too, because then you're looking for it from anyone. When I think
Yep.
about like kids who grow like boys who grow without their mothers, or girls who grow without their fathers, or vice versa, however it works.
hmm
They
hmm
look for that in people, and they get in bad relationships all the time
Yep.
because
Absolutely.
they're trying to fulfill something that they don't have, they've never had or don't have anymore.
Absolutely.
So I think this kind of humanized her for me.
It did. And her saying also that she was starting to drink too much, and
Yes,
it's just a lot of things that she was trying to numb. It's such
she went from one habit to another one.
yes, and I think it's such a painful unique experience that you can't really, unless you can be, you can be sympathetic towards it, but until and unless you go through it, um you don't know what that's like. You really
Right.
don't. Hmm. And it did humanize her more. I
Yeah.
was sympathetic. I wish we would have known as it was happening, but I totally get that she didn't even understand what was happening to her at that moment, you know. But I agree with you too, and I think it would have changed the whole tone of that season, if she was able to have the girls rally around her and to, you know, hear what she was really going through, because maybe she would have started to figure out some of those things without trying to dull or numb the
I
pain,
feel like
you
she
know?
didn't have the words of, because it was like
Yes.
two instances I think that she had that season. It was that first one where they were at that crystal place, and
Yeah.
then when they went on that trip where the girl Dominica came and she
Hmm.
broke down. I remember I would never forget her saying that she was like, "This is supposed to be a sisterhood. And I don't feel no sisterhood."
Yeah.
When she broke down on that episode, for me, I realized like this is way deeper than what we're watching on the show for real.
Absolutely.
Jennifer was like really not in a
Going
good
through it. Yeah, she was really
place.
going
And
through it.
I think even when I think she had made it with Evelyn in the kitchen on that actual episode or whatever.
She did. She
Then they
did.
had kind of like really kind of went backwards or something around that time or something.
Hmm.
I want to say it was Malaysia.
Maybe. I
I
can't
think it
remember.
was.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't think they understand, because I remember Jackie Shawnee had went and talked to her,
Hmm.
and I was like, maybe they're kind of understanding it. And I'm
Hmm.
sure that scene went on way longer than what we even seen.
I agree. Yeah.
Our
And the
production.
fact that we never really even saw Jen cry that much
Never,
ever.
ever.
You know, the only time she really
And
cried,
not that way either.
not
Like
that way.
Jennifer
That's
was
right. The
bawling,
only time
snot, like it was. We ain't never.
it was bad. Like she was tearing, like it's really, it's such an overwhelming feeling. So Deb, I don't wish it on anybody, and I feel so bad for her because, and you know, even this season, how the girls rallied around Brandy about her dad, you
Yeah,
know, like I wish that Jen would have had that support as
yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah.
You know, because again, it's I understand the anger and you falling out with someone, but then there does come a moment when, you know, it's just a human kindness to have, you know, sympathy from somebody. Like, I don't care if you're not friends anymore. The girl lost her mom. They should have rallied around her,
Yeah.
you know, in all honesty. And again, you know, I know you can, you know, point out Malaysia, going back and forth with Brandy and her dad about her knowing and not knowing. But again, when she did, she didn't treat Brandy the way that they treated Jennifer.
Oh yeah, absolutely not. Yeah, that's very.
Yeah, she was just like, I'm sorry, I didn't know. I really didn't know. You know, and I felt like she was
But
sincere
I
when
think
she said
even when we
that.
talked about that, it was for me. I felt like it wasn't. It was almost like I wanted what Shawnee did with Jennifer in that moment
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
from Malaysia, and that's the
Yeah.
perfect way to even explain it.
Yeah.
Because
No, I understand
when that
exactly.
happened, like even though Shawnee was pissed off at her,
She
like
put her
all that
differences
went,
aside. Yep.
yeah, like all that went, like she was still mad at her after that.
Yep.
But in that moment, like she knew, and even the second time, it
Yeah.
was the same thing. She was like, go talk to Ed because I know that Ed will understand.
Mm-hmm.
But like it was a fight for them to understand what Jennifer was going through.
Yes,
Like it just didn't seem like that was happening at all
I
this
agree.
season.
I agree. And you do want somebody to kind of get there, but then again, you don't know what other people, where their headspace is,
Right.
what, you know, where they are in their life, you know. I mean, you know, for all we know, in that conversation that Brandy and Malaysia had, they could have even discussed it then. And I feel like it should have been discussed off camera, you
Right.
know, because you would like to think, like I said, I don't care if I hate your guts. There's certain things that you just have to be a human about. You really should try to treat people the way you want to be treated, and nobody wants to, you know, be laughed at, made fun of, have a door, like you said, slammed in their face when they're dealing with such a huge loss. And I feel like that was a really missed opportunity, for, you know, Malaysia and Brandy in this season, unfortunately.
I just, and I still have hope for that. So I really do.
Well, from what she, and when we get to Brandy's interview, she touches on that.
Yeah,
Maybe, if she comes back on the show, and Malaysia is in a better headspace, we might see that. I don't
yeah,
know.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to happen eventually.
Okay.
Um, I'm not gonna say that it won't. I feel like it's gonna be like kind of like an Evelyn and Jennifer thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're not be best friends again, but like
Right.
they just have respect for each other.
Just have
And I feel
respect
like
and.
if something like this happens, like it's gonna be that type of space
Mm-hmm.
for each other. I mean, even with like thinking about like Evelyn and Brooke, like they don't
Mm-hmm.
know each other, but I mean, look, they're building a friendship from that. You know what I mean?
Yes,
I
but I
feel like
mean, Evelyn now is a completely different Evelyn
person.
than
Yeah,
Miami Evelyn.
true.
Like sometimes time helps. Like maturity helps, experiences help. I'm sure that because a lot of these reality TV stars, when they look back on their seasons and whatever, they're mortified by their behavior. Like Duffy said that in this season was like she looked back at herself and didn't like what she saw and she wanted to change that. She didn't want to present herself in that way, and I respect her for that. So maybe with a little bit of time, when they get in better spots, because right now Brandy is dealing with her child, Malaysia's doing what she's doing, maybe they can get back to there, like you said. And also, even if they don't have to be BFFs again, but just have a mutual respect for the friendship that they even did have.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really all I want for real.
Ah,
And
yeah.
I want to see that on the show with Jennifer and
Evelyn. Yeah.
and
And we might see
I'm
it
gonna keep
because,
fighting for that. I'm gonna keep fighting.
yeah, I was going to say we might see that because if they are both coming back and, they're in a, like she said, they're not like the best of friends, but they check in on each other. I
Mhm.
think if they were put together in a space, who knows now that some time has passed, where they might end up, you know?
I also want to see what that looks like with Evelyn being friends with Jackie now.
Yeah. It was interesting to see her on that Shawnee wedding special and Jackie. I was kind of like, they're real friends. They were real friends. They just
Right.
don't seem like the same kind of, I think they give each other fun shade. Evelyn does it more to Jackie
Yeah.
than Jackie does it to Evelyn.
Because Jackie will
But
get upset.
yeah, but I think they really like each other.
No, I think they do too.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to see that all together. I feel like if this show can do anything to build back up those ratings,
Mm-hmm.
those friendships will really boost those things back up.
I agree 1,000%. Because, like I said, there is some magic that is missing, and I'm not saying that those women are bad people, but again, them trying to get to know each other just doesn't make for a good show. We need to see, like you said, either bring in a couple more or one more Miami person. Just we need to see a balance of things.
Yeah.
I just, and again, like I said, for me, in my opinion, because I am a fan of Malaysia, even with her exiting in part B, they had a little less drama until, British jumped in and stuck her nose in there with Brandy and Duffy. I feel like it was missing something. When you have the women that,
Oh, absolutely. But she left.
yeah, that have built the franchise and they're no longer there, it's kind of like we don't we don't care about these other girls. And Jennifer said so as much too. That's why she said she felt the pressure to kind of be an OG, because she said the audience does need time to get to know the women on the screen because we're not invested anymore.
Yeah.
We're more invested in a Jen and Evelyn. We're more invested for you in a Brandy and Malaysia. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like those things are, and from what Carlos said too, like him as a viewer and a fan of the show, he didn't want to watch certain things because it was like, what am I watching this for?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I was happy even to mention the Brandy and Malaysia thing. Like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, at least somebody else sees it besides me.
Yes.
I just think that we're keep on saying like we want to see real friendships, and those are real friendships.
Absolutely.
Um, I could even add Jackie to the Malaysia and Brandy friendship, even though it wasn't as long
Mm-hmm.
because they were on the show for so long together. Like that adds to that situation.
It sure
You know what I mean?
does. And I feel like if Malaysia had stayed on long enough, or and I don't want to give away Jackie's interview at this point, but if Jackie had been at that dinner when Malaysia kind of had her last straw, I
Mhm.
feel like the season would have been completely different if Jackie would
Yeah,
have.
absolutely.
And vice versa. It's like, when it's just Jackie and Malaysia's not there, like that dinner in Mexico was a nightmare. I doubt that Jackie would have been so turned up and focused on Jennifer if Malaysia were still there.
Yeah,
Yep.
I agree with you.
Yep. And that's unfortunate. So hopefully we'll get, like you said, we just need some sort of balance,
And I think
absolutely.
having a majority of balance versus and then other girls coming in,
Yes.
it just makes the show flow. It makes the show work.
Yep.
And then we don't have to worry about all like the OGs and stuff like that,
Yeah,
coming in and like really kind of destroying the viewer's point of view of the show that
absolutely.
are new or, all this other new stuff that happens with the show. Like we can get back to the basics of the show. I want to see the
Yep.
glam. I want to see the dinner party. I want to
Yep.
see the shade. Jennifer, have you seen the food stamp yet? I want to see that
Hmm.
stuff again.
I want to see the cocktails. And
Yes, all that.
if we're talking about Tammy, I want to see the beer and the cigarette. Like I
The
want I
beer,
want to see
I want you to beer with the straw.
yes, the beer with the
Let's see that.
straw. Like
Yes.
those are the things that we are missing, because again, like I said, we're not really invested in these girls like that. Like, it's kind of like, okay, you're okay,
And
but
I think if
yeah.
we can get like 2 seasons of this, why Brooke is still there. I think Brooke could really be an added addition to like that,
Yeah,
that thing.
the
'Cause they,
fun part of it. The
yeah,
fun part of it, yeah.
yeah.
And
'Cause
kind
it's
of
almost
like
like
you
we have to
said.
relearn her. We haven't seen her since like season 2
Yeah,
of LA. How long ago was that?
that was like 9 years ago.
Yeah, like most people don't even remember Brooke. We know about that fight. That was it.
Yes, and that was it. And we saw the fight in flashbacks even years after she had been gone.
Right.
So I just feel like, yeah, I feel like I don't dislike Brooke, but again, I'm not as invested. I'm a little bit more invested now because of the unfortunate passing of her daughter. So I would like to see her have fun. You know what I mean?
Like, I
It,
feel like Evelyn's going to come in and it's going to be that dark
yeah.
place first
Yep.
before we see that.
Yeah, I think so too.
Everyone's going to dig into that, and I feel like it's going to be a big moment for that cast. To be honest,
Yeah. And I think that is going to cause them to be a little bit more bonding. I feel like, but again, unfortunately, I also am dreading the carryover for Brooke and Jackie, because I feel like they're going to ring that until we're sick of it, about her not being there for her.
as long as it's not repetitive
Yeah.
and like they're just like not effing with each other, I can deal with that. But
I
if
can deal
every
with it
episode we got to
too.
be like Jackie and Brooke get together, Jackie and Brooke
Yes.
get together, Jackie and Brooke, no.
I
But
don't want
I
to see
think that
that.
Evelyn knows how to control the balance of
Mhm.
that. So
Mhm.
I don't see that because I don't think that we've seen a season with Evelyn where we get this repetitiveness crap.
Never. We've never, whether Evelyn is on there or if it was just the LA girls, we have never seen this repetitiveness and it go on for so long.
Yeah.
Um, and again, we used to get that season wrapped up. We might have gotten 2, 3 parts of a reunion, and we were done. We were done for the year.
Yeah.
Whereas the episodes, like they kept having like quote unquote cliffhangers with these fights instead of just letting it go organically. They just kept chopping it up too much, and then we had that long break, and then they want to come back with a part B. And now I do understand that they changed production companies from A to B, but it just didn't, like
It didn't
they
land
were it didn't land where, and they're like killing the show because of it. Yeah.
like they could have just started another season.
Yeah. And I hope that the producers were listening to Carlos King, because he was saying that too. He was like,
I
it
really want
was,
to see if he can get his hands in the pot for this.
yeah, that would be
I
great
thought it was
because
interesting that he said he was trying to hire the lady on that spin-off part
the producer.
Vito. So
Hmm.
I kind of want to see how she handles it by herself. Um,
Yeah.
if he doesn't, or like because Jennifer is cool with her, like
Hmm.
can they talk and like figure it out together or whatever? Because I know he said it costs money for him to get
Yes.
information,
Right.
but I would love to see how that works with them. I
Yeah.
think one of them would create definitely a great business relationship between the two of them.
Yep.
Because I mean he's a staple in reality television.
Yep.
So the fact that he wants her, I think that if they can come together and like really, hash this out together.
Hash this out and figure out the solution
Yeah,
to fix the show. I mean, and again, you and I have said it, and maybe we should be the producers, but we definitely need some of those key people back. And I'm sorry, like I said, the other ladies, nothing against them, but some of them had a one and done because they just didn't fit with the rest of the girls. They just didn't fit, and it's not no slight to them, but certain people have create a magic, and
yeah. And I think
Jennifer.
LA was just trying to figure it out. When they
Yeah.
started like when they were bringing Brooke and Bambi, and that there was some people I can't remember their names from,
Right. Agreed. Same. Me too.
but they were trying to figure it out. I think once they got Jackie and Malaysia and Drea like
Yes.
this,
It started
it was
coming,
good. And then
coming
they
together.
brought Brandy in, so then that kind of caused some different type of confusion.
Mhm.
Then Drea needed a friend. Even who wasn't really that bad to me, although she was so sporadic, was Megan.
Yeah.
Like,
I was entertained because
yeah, I
first
was
of all,
too.
I think that was the last season that Drea was on, but she even added something to the show. But again, but like one new girl and then the rest were staples made sense. When you
Yes.
have 4 and 5 new girls
Well,
and one.
because remember that season it was her and Angel Brinks.
Oh, that's right. And Angel Brinks. But again,
They brought Angel Brinks back the next season with Angel Love.
Yes, and she was forgettable to me. I think she's very sweet. I'm sorry, she's a very sweet girl, but again, I didn't care about either of the angels, Brinks or Love. But I thought they were okay.
They were both unforgettable, like unforgettable friends. I mean, it was like
Yeah.
Angel and Angel. They both were like so timid. They were not built
Yep.
for the show.
They didn't. But
But
again,
then
that's
when they
when we
brought
had
in
so
like
many.
Kristen and Cece
Yeah.
and OG, even though I mean I don't want OG back, like
Mhm.
we will never forget that season.
Absolutely.
That's
right. Yep, that's right. But again, I feel like if you're going to bring like 2 new people, the rest of them have to be OGs. Like you can't have characters on us on this series in particular. It's the same thing for like Roja. Like, us not having really people that we really want to continue to see because there's more new people than there are OGs. I feel like that's doing that show a disservice.
Right.
It's not a good balance, but that's just my opinion.
The other person I really want to see, but she said she's never coming back to, was that Samaya Reese.
Yeah.
I loved her drunk self, but
I loved her too. She was so funny.
I told you I tweeted her, right?
Yes.
Like I've never, I'm listening. I'm trying to help the cast.
Right. And she's like, I'm never going back.
She was like, I forgot all about that show. Hell no.
I know, but she was so good. But I think she was so good because we had like people like Evelyn being like, "Is she drunk?" Like, and just saying, "Okay, it's time to go. Let's go." Like it was just entertaining. She was. I wouldn't mind seeing her back.
Because them other girls, I think there was like 2 other girls that season. I forgot about them.
It was like sisters. It was another pair of sisters.
I remember Samaya came to do the makeover for her.
Mm-hmm. And she was talking about her fashions, being like, I can help style you and
style you. I'm like ghetto chic.
Right, because the girl didn't really
have
I
don't want to be ghetto chic. You just look ghetto.
I know, but again, she didn't really have great taste, so
she did.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
That was actually a really good season.
It was a really good season. I was thoroughly entertained. And I wouldn't have minded seeing her come back, even though she did, she wasn't even on there for a full season. I was entertained I like that Samaya. Mm-hmm.
Me too. I also wouldn't mind seeing Phoebe come back.
Phoebe was cool too. She was like a little Ev. I liked her.
Yes, like she's like a little Evelyn, Jennifer minion person, I wouldn't mind seeing her come back. I think she added to the I think she was like, wait a minute now. Y'all added so much that I never even said. Exactly. I never said you was old and you can't rap. I just said you rap and you old.
Right. Exactly.
But I love that about her. Like she gave a lot.
She was funny. Again,
Yeah,
she was like a fun girl. She was
yeah,
like, let's go out and get some drinks and have fun. She was fun,
yeah.
and that's what we're missing from this cast. So much tears, so much screaming. Like, it's just not even fun. They don't even do fun activities. Like, we saw them go to the gym the most that I've ever seen on any other season of Basketball Wives in this one season.
Yeah.
I don't want to see them working out at with what's his name? Doug at the, we don't need to see it. I don't need to see Brooke being like, I'm working through my divorce by working out. It's just not what we're used to for this show.
I think that was the excuse for all the spandex.
Yeah. Okay. But then when they were shooting scenes and they weren't working out, why why was the spandex there?
All right, listen, I'm just trying to make some.
Exactly. So yeah, I feel really we do need a little bit of balance. Let's wrap this up with Jennifer though, because what was the last part?
The last part was just about the movie.
Oh, that's right.
She said
Did you?
about VH1.
She said she didn't have an air date.
She didn't have an air date, but the movie's it's on Amazon Prime and Tubi. So,
Yeah, but maybe they moved
maybe it's
it.
going to shift over at some point. I don't know. I mean, to me, it was such a big deal. They should have aired it after the damn reunion, to be honest.
I
If
agree.
VH1 was going to pick it up, but I mean, they're moving on the shows to TV1. I mean, from TV1 to MTV. So is that ever even going to happen?
I don't know. VH1 to MTV. I don't know, because I thought that VH1 and MTV were one and the same. They're different channels.
It's the same
But it's owned.
network company.
Yes, it's owned by the same people, right?
Yeah. What is it? I forgot what the name of it is.
Yeah.
But they're moving all the reality shows over back to MTV.
Uh-huh. The ones from VH1, they sure are. I'm not really sure what that's about. So maybe by the time, when she did this interview, they must have switched gears on her,
Isn't it Viacom?
Yes, Viacom.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but the other thing is that Basketball Wives, all their stuff is on Paramount Plus, though.
Yeah, but I think...
Is that a part of Viacom, too?
It might be, because, they have a whole bunch of shows that are not just on VH1, that are on Paramount Plus, too.
Oh, but that makes sense because all the MTV stuff is on Paramount Plus.
Yes, it is. All of those reunions, all of those old shows are all on Paramount Plus.
And the reason why, because I love Daria. And Daria.
I love Daria too. Oh my God. I loved that show.
Yeah, me too. Goodness. I like when I go to bed at nighttime a lot, I watch Daria or Girlfriends.
It was so funny. I really loved it.
And like Daria was way before Daria's time.
Yes. So she was. Like that dry sense of humor was so before her time. It really was.
And that's me. Like, I'm very sarcastic like that and dry. So I just love it.
I loved it too. Oh my God, I love that show. Yeah.
Actually, one of my logos I have is like, it looked like a Daria logo.
Really?
Yes.
That's so funny. I had a coworker a few years ago and her name was Amber, and I started calling her Daria because she sounded and looked like her. I'm going to send you a side picture on, after this that you can see. I was like, you're like a real life Daria. Her sense of humor was like hers. She sounded like her and she looked like her. I love that show.
Me too.
Yeah.
So that's it for Jennifer, guys.
That's it for Jennifer.
Thank you for struggling through this with us. Because it was not that great. And I'm like, let's get this out of the way. We could have probably skipped this one. But
yeah.
It was like in the middle of the season. So she didn't really give us anything. We'll be doing Jackie tomorrow.
Yep. That's right. Okay. Now, Jackie, Tribe, Jackie's is more dramatic, obviously, because it's Jackie. And she does.
The season is over with too, right?
And it's after the season is over, and she does have some juice. And I'll tell you my thoughts on her overall, demeanor. So, Deb, tomorrow.
Oh, and I do want to shout out someone because I did get a Cash App today.
Thank you, Sassy Peach. Thank you.
I don't know if I can say the name, but I did get a Cash App for the students today, so I do want to shout that out as well.
Can you do a first initial like you did yesterday?
It's YD. I'll say
Okay.
that, YD.
Okay.
But thank you so much for your Cash App for the children.
Thank you. And did you want to play? Because we're in June now, guys. So what is the deadline again? July what?
The 23rd.
The 23rd.
So
So if you can help, that would be great. Do you want to play your commercial or no?
I need to tally up what we have so far. I think we were at like $540, but then we got cash up yesterday too. So I
Yeah.
need to go back and redo all that stuff.
Yeah. It would be great to know where you stand.
Okay. Yes, I'll tomorrow when we do our live tomorrow, I'll let you guys know because I got cash ups yesterday and I got one today. So I'll let you guys know what the total is so far, but we're real close. So
That's so wonderful.
yeah,
And
we're
it's important.
real close.
Yes. And again, guys, tomorrow's and the rest of them are way more juicy than Jennifer's, for sure.
Absolutely. I already made all the cover art for everything too, Cindy. So we can probably start
Yay.
on time, like earlier tomorrow.
Okay.
Because I was like, let me go ahead and do. I did Jennifer, Jackie, Brooke, and Brandy's. So
And we could just pop it on and get going.
yeah, pop it on and we can go.
Okay.
And I'm not doing anything tomorrow too, so I'll be home taking notes early. So
Okay.
whenever time you are free, we can get started with that tomorrow as well. I really want to get into Jackie though.
Yeah.
I think it was a good kickoff.
I think so too. The only thing that I have to do tomorrow, I do have a 6 o'clock. So if we could do it a little bit earlier, that would be.
I don't. Your hand was over your microphone, so I can hear what you said.
Oh, sorry. I said I have an appointment at 6, but
Okay.
so if we could do it a little bit earlier, that'd be great.
Like what time?
Like today's time,
Yeah,
like
6 your time.
7 6 p.m. my time. So I'm assuming we'll be done. But right now it's 6:07 my time. So if we start a little bit earlier, that
So
would
you're
work.
gonna do it like before you go or
Yes,
after you go?
before.
Let's talk. Let's inbox each other. But yeah, earlier is way better for me anyway, so that's fine.
Okay, not super early, but just like earlier
No,
because
not.
yeah, we did it starting what at 7 your time, which is like 4 my time.
Yeah.
Even if we did it a half an hour to an hour earlier, that would work. So it'd be like 6 your time or 6:30.
Let's do 6 my time.
Okay,
Does that work?
that works.
Okay. I am gonna jump off because wait, Sassy P says play Jelani first. Listen, just for you, I will do that.
I love it. We need it, Sassy Peach. Woo!
Listen, okay.
I would much rather end with him than Jennifer, even though
Absolutely.
we're talking about Jennifer, but that's definitely the way to end.
Absolutely. I'll do my app for the other stuff tomorrow.
Okay.
Because it's not to people here now, but if you guys want to, SoDebNair, $ SoDebNair for anybody who wants to donate at this point. And if you guys are gonna still be up, I'm about to go over to Nola Reed's channel. Sesame Peach, can you pull her link?
Is it for Roja?
No, so they're doing. She does this thing called Night Court. It's extremely funny.
Okay.
And they're going to be doing Night Court tonight. I believe it's about the Little Mermaid.
Okay.
Actually, I just found it.
And do you want me to hop down so that you can wrap things up?
Yeah, I'm about to wrap things up, so that's fine. Did you have anything else you wanted to say?
Nope, that's it. I'm looking forward to Miss Christie's live tomorrow.
Yes, and actually, what I'll do is, we said 7 my time tomorrow, right?
Yes, or 6.
Okay, I'll go ahead and wait.
6 or 7. 6 or 7, whatever you want.
Can we do 6?
We can.
Okay, so I'll do it. I'm gonna set up tonight.
Okay.
So that it's already set.
It's already done.
Yep.
Okay.
But make sure you guys check out Night Court over on Nola Reed's channel. If you want a good laugh, you're definitely gonna get it. All right. Love you, Cindy.
I love you too, honey. And thank you guys for tuning in. I hope that you will ride it out with us for the next 3 because they're really, really interesting, I will say. And again, we did Jennifer justice because we know how to do that.
We made some clarifications and made stuff sound better and everything.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
all
when we do Brandy's, I'm gonna tag her.
Oh yes. Maybe that will get the interview for you. All right, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. And I'll inbox you too. So Deb.
All right.
Okay. Night. Bye.
All right, y'all. So if you guys are still here, make sure you guys go ahead and like, subscribe, turn the notifications. Drop down in the comments what you guys think about the recap of the interview for Jennifer. You can go to SoDebNair.com, click on blog, and actually watch the interview for yourself. And then make your own determination and come back over here and then drop down in the comments. Let me know what you guys think about that. Y'all, I love you guys for supporting me so much. Sassy Peach Joe, you are a real one over here. I mean, you stuck around for the entire thing. I love you so much. I'm going to get up out here so I can make sure I'm late to court because they be finding me. But I love you guys. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, y'all.
Did it, I 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 did it, did it, you did it, I did it, you did it, did it, I did it, I did it, I did it, did it, I did it, I did it, I did it, I did it.